What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug, in Game 3. I got to tip my cap off to the Boston Celtics. I think this was one of the most beautiful games they've played all year. We talk about the Warriors in their third quarter shenanigans over this dynasty run. For the Celtics to be able to come out of the gate, play the way that they played, maintain it throughout the first half. You knew that the Warriors were going to make a run and they were going to fight against the start of the game that the Celtics had. They weren't just going to lay over and allow the Celtics to just beat them for the entire game. You knew a fight was coming. And I think they weathered the storm very, very good for a team who isn't as experienced as the Golden State Warriors. And even in that third quarter specifically, when the Warriors really came out firing and regained the lead after being down 18, I was really focused and locked in on that specific moment when Steph Curry was making the defensive plays, making the threes, and eventually he had the 4-point play. The Warriors going a 9-0 run, and it starts to be the Warriors' third quarter resurgence that we are becoming accustomed to seeing throughout these big level games. And at that point, I was very, very interested to see how the young buck Celtics would respond to that at home after having the start that they had. And, to my surprise, they handle it fantastic. Throughout the course of this game, the Celtics definitely did their thing. Coming out the gate was 24-9 or something like that. Tatum Brown, a guy in my last video after game 2, who I spoke about wanting to see him be able to have these moments throughout the course of the game. I felt like in game 1, had a very quiet start, and then picked up in the second half, and then really kickstarted that comeback they had in the fourth quarter to win game 1. And then in the second game, Tatum Brown came out guns blazing in the first quarter and then really fizzled out for the rest of that game. Today's game, we saw Tatum Brown come out and probably one of his most impressive starts I've ever seen in his career as a professional. Came out guns blazing, knocking down threes. I'm talking about dunks, making defensive plays. Everything he had to offer, he put out on full display. And then carried on throughout the rest of the game. No quarter was as explosive as the fourth quarter, but I still felt his presence throughout the full course of this game. And that was something that I said after game 2 was going to be something that I was really watching for from him. I feel like Jason Tatum rolled out the game. It was a part where he looked not himself. And then in the second half, he really picked it up, which was much needed. Marcus Smart hit shot after shot as he does. Marcus Smart is a guy that I feel like throughout the course of the playoffs, specifically, you'll look at the box score and be like, damn, Marcus Smart had 24. Like, I felt and knew he was scoring, but I didn't know Marcus Smart had 24.7 rebounds and 5 assists. I saw him take Curry in the post a couple times, especially when Curry started to pick up the fouls. He had 2 in the first quarter. He had 4 by the third. Marcus Smart was definitely trying to take advantage of that. And, I looked up and was like, damn, he had 24 points. Gotta also talk about the others for the Boston Celtics. Grant Williams made some key plays just from an intensity level, not necessarily one of the top scorers or didn't have no crazy play that may be sticking in your brain. But when it came to loose balls and being involved, being on the floor, touching people, the physicality, the rah-rah-rah with Draymond, the scuffle they had or whatever, I felt like the intensity was high. And I felt that they needed that because in the second game, Draymond and the Warriors took that on for themselves and came out and hit first and was really to look to bring some physicality and make sure that they got into guys and touched them up a bit. And I feel like the Celtics kind of did that to their own degree in this game. And I think Grant Williams did that a lot. A lot of his stuff will not pop up on the box score, but the presence is felt when he's on the floor. Derek White, the same thing. I think there was a runaway play. I cannot remember who it was. Maybe Wiggins, maybe Jordan Poole. Somebody had a breakaway play. And Gary Payton II, I believe it actually was. It was a play where there was like a 2-on-1. The Warriors got like a steal. And I believe you either give up a 3 to Steph Curry. And then you have Gary Payton II also running on the opposite wing. Derek White came and hustled and bustled to break up that play and eventually put Gary Payton at the free throw line. And those aren't necessarily the shots that you'll remember or the plays that stick out the most, but from an intensity level and championship DNA and just, you know, the 50-50 plays that they always talk about, just the winning plays, a lot of those stood out for me personally. Robert Williams had a bunch of them. 3 steals, 4 blocks for him, including 8 points and 10 rebounds. This is a guy that we're talking about that's hobbled. This is a guy that has missed games in every single series. I didn't even expect him to play in this particular game, let alone have the impact that he had from a defensive standpoint and on the glass. Most importantly, something that I've talked about all series with the Golden State Warriors and how they would be able to use this as a benefit against the Celtics was the offensive glass. The Celtics had 15 offensive rebounds. 15 offensive rebounds. Feel like they gave the Warriors a bit of a taste of their own medicine. A lot of those points, you know, a lot of those rebounds turned into second chance points. A lot of open threes. Tatum hit threes. Marcus Smart hit threes. Grant Williams 3, I think, came off of offensive rebound. A lot of that credit goes to Al Horford. He fought all night long on the glass. He had 11, 8, and 6, a block and a steal himself. And the other part was the turnovers. Celtics only had 12 turnovers. Golden State had 16. And my problem with Golden State, and specifically their turnovers, they have some of the most frustrating turnovers because it's such a nonchalant. I'm okay with aggressive turnovers, which you might see with the Boston Celtics. Sometimes even with the Warriors. I don't want to make it seem like the Warriors are just the most casual team with the basketball. They also have aggressive turnovers, which you definitely will live with. But I feel like they have a lot of turnovers that you just like scratch your head and just like, what was that? Steph Curry had like a pass he tried to make full court that got stolen by Jaylen Brown or something. Andrew Wiggins had a great defensive play or a great defensive rebound. It was him trying to bring the ball up. Curry was going to the wing for a 3, and somehow Jason Tatum cut Wiggins off and made him turn the ball over on the sideline out of bounds. Blew my mind. That was in like the end of the third, early fourth, somewhere where the Warriors really needed this possession. It could really have used a transition 3 from Steph, who had came out of the gates in the second half on fire, and was looking like Finals MVP to me, if I must say so myself. Two-way Curry is a real thing, and I love the way that he displayed it in the third quarter. I'm talking about sliding feet, strong chest against Marcus Smart in a one-on-one situation. Next possession, took a charge. 3 here, 3 there. The next thing you know, 4-point play, 9-0 run for the Warriors. Warriors just took the lead for the first time after being up 2-0 in the beginning of the game, down 18. Steph Curry, to me, has played the best basketball out of anybody in the series, and it's not even close. Head and shoulders above everybody. But like somebody on Twitter told me, the Warriors have to win it for him to be the Finals MVP, which I must say so is facts. Other notes that I had: Draymond Green, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. For a guy that is as animated as he is during the courses of these games, I'm talking about in scuffles, always in the face of referees, a guy who's doing the podcast shit after these games, he has to be better. He has to be better. There's not a guy that talks more than Draymond Green for the Golden State Warriors, and he has to respond on the basketball floor. Nobody is going to care about Draymond Green's response on the podcast. Nobody's going to care about Draymond Green's response in the post-game interview press conference. Nobody's going to care about Draymond's response to the refs after he tackles somebody and makes a football play on the basketball court. We want to see you respond. What a performance. I am tired of seeing the clank threes. I'd much rather you do what you've done the 6 out of 8 years y'all made it to this point, which is to not even look at the rim. You catch the ball and you find some other shit to do. You drive and get a charge before I see you shoot another one of those clank ass shots. And I'm okay with a bad performance here and there. And we know Draymond Green is much more important to the basketball floor than the box score. We know that by now. But for me, it's the antics. When you do as much as Draymond Green, when you talk as much as Draymond Green, when you're in so many scuffles and you always talking about how good you are and how valuable you are, this is the time to show it. This right here is the moment you've waited for. This is the response to Kevin Durant, that you don't need him. Everything that you said, I'm the greatest defender of all time. We want to see it right now. This is how you make the case, not on a podcast telling me about it. Right now on the basketball court. Jordan Poole, you have to be better. 8 field goal attempts. 8 field goal attempts from Jordan Poole. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Not going to cut it. He had some very good moves. Nice highlight play on the baseline against Robert Williams where he faked him and he reversed it. We need more of that. We need more of that. And I say we as basketball fans, I have no horse in the race. I obviously predicted the Warriors to win this in 6. But don't get it twisted. I'm not a Warriors fan at all. I'll be okay if the Celtics win this. Klay Thompson, I feel like this is the game you have to win. I don't want to say have to win. I don't want to really overspeak on this. But I feel like this is an important game because Klay Thompson really flipped that switch. He really made tough shots after tough shots. He came through when everybody else was kind of quiet and dry. And these are the performances we wanted to see from Klay in the first 2 games where he was kind of struggling to get that shot going. So for him and Steph to go 31 and 25 apiece, knock down the shots that they knocked down, you definitely, if you go to state, you wanted to win this game with a Klay Thompson performance like that. The hope is that he can continue it, especially on a roll, because like my boy Derek always says on the podcast, role players play better at home. And role players don't play that well on the road. So the Warriors, you're probably not going to get 4 3-pointers made from Otto Porter. And, you're probably not going to get a 5.3 3-pointers made from Jordan Poole because he's probably not going to do that on the road, hypothetically. So Klay, Curry, and Dre and Wiggins have to be the focal points. Wiggins had another good game to me, 18, 7, and 2. But again, very nonchalant with the basketball. Very out of control when he gets to the rim. He had a couple charges that I just wasn't the biggest fan of, and a lot of silly turnovers. I just think that he has to be better when he has the basketball in his hands, as far as creating a situation where he can either attack, pass it, and go set a screen. Should be very minimal options with Andrew Wiggins when he has the basketball, and him going attacking with 3 guys waiting for him and just running guys over. And I mean, just throwing shit up while he's running guys over. I'm not a fan of at all. 6 offensive rebounds. Not going to cut it. When they did get the offensive rebounds, that led to open 3-pointers for Klay Thompson. Felt like he had about 2 made threes off of offensive rebounds. But when you give up 15 offensive rebounds, you definitely have to have more than 6. Didn't shoot the 3 ball as well as they can. 15 out of 40, 37%. Not terrible. Just not anything crazy and ridiculous. They got to the free throw line 15 times compared to the Boston Celtics getting there 24 times. Almost a 10 attempt difference. Except the Warriors made theirs. The Celtics missed 7. Shooting the free throws at a 70% clip. And that's pretty, I mean, that's pretty much it to me. There's a lot of things to address in that first half. 11 points, fourth quarter for the Warriors is what I have written down. They scored 11 points in the fourth quarter. When you have the third quarters that they have, to turn around and score 11 points in the fourth quarter is ridiculous. The fouls, Draymond fouled out. Steph had 2 in the first quarter, 3 in the first half, 4 once the third started. Love the way that they came out and played in the third quarter. 9-0 run, went to 12-0 run, was down 18, took the first lead since 2. I love Otto Porter getting the one-handed offensive rebound over the 2 guys, kicked it out to Klay for the 3-point shot. And another thing, Draymond and maybe Wiggins in one possession, I'm trying to remember it in my mind, they had something going on where it turned into a turnover. Body language. Championship DNA. You know what I mean? Battle tested. These are the things we talk about. After that turnover, there was some back and forth or a nonchalantness. Al Horford gets the ball. He throws it down to Jaylen Brown. He gets a dunk. A runaway open free lane dunk. Those are the type of things that can happen. Not in a championship game, in my opinion. In the first half, like I said, Jaylen Brown, 22 points, 7 rebounds. Jason Tatum, 11, 4, and 5. Just really good first half from him. Out of the gate in that first quarter, some notes that I had. Derek White for Robert Williams with 3 minutes in. That really made me feel like Robert Williams was going to probably be not that big of a factor. Started out 30-15, 15-point lead out of the gate for the Celtics. I also have written down a Derek White chase down foul on Gary Payton II that I alluded to earlier. Very, very big, just a statement play, an intensity play. Love the fact that Curry was drawing the charges. And that was pretty much about it. Another note that I had also was Jason Tatum grabbing a shoulder. I don't know what that's about. We keep seeing him grab that shoulder. It's been like that since, I think, the Miami series. We've been seeing that. But yeah, notes for me, things that I want to see in the next game. I want to see Draymond Green find a way to impact the game other than the antics and the talking and things that ain't really doing shit except pissing off the other team. I want to see another performance like that from Jaylen Brown. Might not be, probably won't be as explosive and as loud as this first quarter, but still a game where we see, we feel, and see that you're out there for a full 48 minutes. I feel like Jaylen Brown has too many games where he's alive in the first half, gone in the second. Gone in the first half, alive in the second half. Want to see Jaylen Brown continue this momentum of being consistently involved and impactful throughout the course of the game. I also want to see the Celtics continue to crash that offensive rebound. I feel like for both of these teams, the offensive glass should be a very big point of emphasis. Whoever can get that second chance, those second chance looks and opportunities, they're going to win a game if they can be this lopsided, because both teams shoot the three ball, fairly well. I love when Marcus Smart is making his shots. Opens up the floor a lot because you now have to guard him and pay attention to him. And I also want to see Jordan Poole find a way to be effective on the road. The Warriors all year have really benefited off of Jordan Poole having these explosive moments. And they didn't come this far for him to be having 8 attempted field goals in an NBA Finals game on the road, where Gary Payton II probably won't have the same impact. Otto Porter's probably not going to have the same impact. What's his name? Benelli. The way I said it, y'all always laugh at it, but I saw he played in the second quarter again for the second game straight. He's probably not going to have the same impact. Those guys just aren't going to be there, so they're going to need Jordan Poole as much as possible. And 10 points is just not going to cut it. And yeah, just a little bit more intensity. I hate the fact that the Warriors are waiting in this series to get hit first, and then they hit back. The first 2 games, the Celtics hit first, and the Warriors played with a desperation, they said themselves, in game 2. Now they're going to be the same way. They give up this first game in Boston. Now their back is against the wall, and they're going to come out and play with a desperation again to potentially tie it. But then are you going to go home and then wait for the Boston Celtics to again put your back against the wall? The Warriors have to come out and play with desperation for the rest of the series. Because if you go down 3-1, this is not the team I would want to do that with. If you go down 3-1, your chances are very slim, just from a numbers perspective and history, but also because it's the Celtics. You're not going to have 3 games in a row where you're just on fire against this Boston Celtics defense. And there's, on any given night, you can get 24 points from Marcus Smart, 26 from Tatum, and 27 for Jaylen Brown. I love the fact that this duo had them a signature game in this playoff series, or in this championship series, because it's a big smack in the face to all of the people who was questioning if these 2 guys could even coexist. So that's it for me. Those are the things I'm looking for game 3. I don't think the series is over. Sign me up for 7 of this, because I cannot wait to the next game. I feel like these days that we have to wait in between each game is starting to get longer and longer, because after a game like today, I want another one tomorrow. So you can sign me up for 7 of these. Want to see how the Warriors respond. They're battle tested. Draymond Green got to focus up. I am Pee Wee the Plug. This is NBA Weekly, NBA Finals Edition. I will see you guys after game 4. I'm out. Peace.